everyone, it's Kody from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we get started, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up as well as subscribe down here if you like this type of content. Today we're going to talk about the latest episode from Sister Wives. This is actually the 14th episode, or 13th episode of the season. Wow, let's just say the 14th season has a lot of episodes, way more than last year. This season has been packed full of so much related to moving and housing and all kinds of stuff related to the family. And this last episode was no different, except we saw a few things that might be a little bit different. For instance, we catch up with Maddie and Caleb. Maddie is actually expecting her daughter, and Janelle and Christine and Kody all travel to North Carolina. That's part of this episode. And we also see some stuff related to Meri, who hasn't been primarily a part of the season at all. And of course, Robin and Kody. So how does the episode start out? Well, it starts out in this sort of frantic movement of the family. They have to leave the house because according to Meri, there had been this massive blaze that had gone up in the forest. And she and her neighbors had been requested by the authorities to leave their homes. So she had actually just moved into this new rental before all of this happened. And apparently this had spread over 1,000 acres. So while the episode opens and they're all over at Meri's house. They're in the garage. She has got tons of boxes stored on these shelves in the garage. And it's clear that she has been in the middle of packing or unpacking contents from having just moved into this new rental. She is frenzied, she is upset, and she doesn't really know what to do. She's trying to figure out what stuff to take, and because of the fact that she had been just moved into this home and just unpacked, she was struggling to figure out where things were, what she needed, where to find stuff, and the family was doing their best to try to help them. And so Kody he says that he went over to Robin's house and they had packed up one of the family's trailers because Robin was also in the process of moving. And so he said he and some of the kids unpacked the trailer, put it into Christine's shed and garage, and then took the trailer and brought it back over to Meri's so that they could take Meri's belongings and put her stuff in there. So anything that would potentially be at risk would be safe. So Meri is with her family. She's trying to figure everything going on. And Meri actually says that Kody shows up to help and engage with the process. And she says that Kody will generally show up in times that are very necessary. And that's basically what he's good at or all he's good at. We know that Meri and Kody have a strained relationship right now. And next episode, we're going to get into the heart of it, of what's going on with them. But she claims that this is the only time that Kody really shows up in her life. Christine walks into the garage and asks Meri what she can do. And Meri actually freaks out at her. And she's like, don't make anything funny right now. And Christine is really just trying to ask Meri, are you okay? What's going on? And Janelle says that Meri is really just sort of at the edge of her rope. All the kids are kind of in the garage with Meri, what can we do? Where should we go? What's going on? And Meri sort of stressed and not knowing what to do, not even really understanding what's going on, just sort of breaks down and starts crying. Robin consoles her, brings her into the home, and Robin is the one of the wives that actually seemingly is able to get Meri to do what she needs to do and helping her through this. In all honesty, all three of the ladies were very much there for her, trying to help her, trying to assist her, and really sort of get her through this very confusing time. During Meri's sort of breakdown, she's like, are my eyebrows off of me? Did I take them off? Because she's feeling so sort of out of control and she can't get control of anything. And so Janelle says that, for Meri, this is really just sort of one thing she can control. And Robin's like, yeah, I can paint on my eyebrows, but I can't control what's going on with my house. So after she does that, Robin takes her inside and they start working through the items. Meri wants to make sure that she takes anything that's of value, not of value, but just of memory, from stuff from her grandparents, her grandma, her mother, her kids, the kids, that kind of stuff. And Meri is just really struggling. She's like, this shouldn't be happening. She's trying to find all these things related to her grandmother. She feels like she might forget things. And sort of in the middle of that, you can sort of see her crying and she's upset and she starts sort of having this panic attack. And the ladies are just trying to calm her down, like, breathe, Meri, it's okay, it'll be fine. And during the time when she starts finding things, Meri actually finds her marriage certificate and she starts laughing and she goes, Robin, maybe we should just leave this here. And they talk about how a couple years ago, she and Kody got divorced so that Robin could actually get married to Kody so that he could adopt the kids of Robin's. And then Robin sort of goes on this sort of diatribe in her interview and starts talking about how with the way that their family is set up, only one wife can actually be the legal wife, and it's super stressful on the family. And she said that it's been this situation because she understands the pain of what it's like to not be the legal wife. Obviously, she wasn't for many years. And then she said her mother was a second wife, and that caused a lot of stress and unhappiness and sadness for her mother. And she says that, you know, in reality, the best option for the family would be for none of them to actually be married so that no one was actually stressed about being the legal wife. And that way they could just, all the licenses could go up in flames, basically, is what she said. So, after they sort of help Meri and they're off with Meri, now it's sort of, you know, Robin starts talking about how, you know, she's been going through the same thing as Meri, so she completely understands the stress that Meri's under because they are in the process of packing and moving, and for Meri, she's had to pack and move, and so it's just like having their lives in such upheaval has created so much stress for them. She said that the rental that they had tried to rent, the home that they looked at last episode, was actually, that fell through. The guys didn't really want to rent it out. They wanted to sell it. And so what they had to do was Kody went and made an offer on a home. Robin said this was the home that he liked. He picked it. He put the offer on it. I don't want this house. But apparently they've also been able to do a short-term rental on the same home that they're buying because while the home was on the market, they were renting it out short-term until someone purchased the home. So back to the house with Meri. Meri actually apologizes to Christine for barking at her about not being funny. Meri actually clarifies in an interview that Christine sort of has this quality, whether it's good or bad, to make a joke and make light of really difficult situations. And a part of that means that sometimes when she makes jokes at the wrong time, but she realized then, having been in that sort of like stress, that she lashed out for no reason. And so she apologized, and Christine was just like, oh, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Meri then starts talking about all the clothing she has from her LLR, MLM. And they start joking about how she needs to have a fire sale. And she ultimately did, because they weren't sure whether or not, she wanted to get rid of as much inventory as possible. And man, you should see the amount of inventory this woman has. And then Meri actually says that she's going to stay home, even though they're going to take all of her things. She wants to be there and make sure that everything's okay. She wants to work as long as she can. And she doesn't want to deal with anything. And Kody's just like, well, why wouldn't you want to be with your sisters? And why wouldn't you want to do this? And blah, 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 blah. And the late Christine is just like, no, I totally get it. I want to be there in case something happens. I want to know. I want to be able to grab my last things. I don't want to have to worry about it. And Kody just wants Meri to be safe, apparently. So now Maddie shows up, and she says that she thinks she's in labor. So she's been having contractions about every 5 minutes. She says that Caleb is out of town for work. And then Janelle is frantically trying to get to there. And she says very nonchalantly, well, turns out Meri didn't have to evacuate. So basically that whole 15 minutes we watched in the first of the show was all for naught. But hey, they didn't know. They had no idea. So Janelle says that she was able to get a hold of Maddie, but she was frantic to get there because she was fearful that Maddie would actually have the baby before she got there. So she arrives there about 15 hours later. She says Maddie goes to the birthing center. The midwife does a exam, and they determine that she's not actually in labor yet. She was barely dilated, and the baby was still high and not really in the position, and that basically the position of the baby was actually causing what they believed were sort of the false contractions, or kind of Braxton Hicks. So she said that she was progressing, but she wasn't in labor yet. So they said to go home, and they weren't really sure when the baby would be coming. So they felt good about it, got home, but Janelle stays. So back to Robin, they're in the house, and they're back dealing with their houses. And so they start talking about the home that Kody is going to close on in a few days. And they say that the home is a short-term rental while on the market. And they are using it as a short-term rental. And are when they purchase the home, literally everything that's in the home will come with them. So all of the furniture, all of the everything that's left in the home will be their property. And it's fully furnished. Crazy. And then they have all of their stuff on top of it. So she said that Robin is sad to leave the rental that they had. She said it was a really magical place, a magical neighborhood. That's what Kody said. And then Kody lamented that he should have just purchased the home that they had been renting because it would have saved them a ton of time and a ton of money. You think? Apparently the house that they moved into was far more expensive than the one in which they were living in and renting before. Robin at this point is still not letting go of the fact that she wants to find a rental. And she feels like she can still find it. But in the meantime, she takes her kids to the house to go see it. And the kids apparently love the house that they're moving into. They love the rooms. They love the kitchen. They love everything. Her oldest son finds a place and he lays down. Everyone is happy. So Robin said that if for some reason the house actually falls through and they're not able to purchase it, she had found a home about a half an hour away in Sedona where they could rent it. Kody was not on the table with that. He said it was way too far away because he drives way too much every single week to see his kids. And he's like, this is not about the kids or my wives. This is about me seeing my kids. So that makes me wonder, like, with the homes that he's going to, is he actually going there to be with the wives or is he there to be with the kids? Anyways, I digress. After they have everything, Robin admits that this is a massive betrayal to her family for having to purchase a home. And after they've packed everything up from the rental they're moving out of, they take all of their belongings and they park it in U-Hauls on their property on Coyote Pass. And they have this like stupid argument about where they're going to park it. He wants to park it in the shade, sort of up a hill, within some trees to keep the contents that are inside cooler. But Robin's like, you're not going to park it on a hill. You're going to park it on the road. And then as they're trying to find a place to park it on the road, there's like this road that goes through the property. It's an easement for all of the utilities. And she wants them to park it like straight away, like on the road, like blocking all access to anybody that would need to go through. And Kody's like, you can't do that. I can't park here. So then they start arguing about that. Ultimately, he ends up parking it on the side. She gives in. It was like literally the dumbest fight ever. Then they go back to North Carolina. Maddie is actually finally in labor. The contractions had woken her up over the night. She goes back to the midwife. They say that she's dilated a little bit more, but she's got a ways to go. So they send her out. They say, go for a walk, go do some stuff. Janelle calls Kody and they tell her to get there. Janelle finds out that Kody and Christine are coming. So Kody tells them that Christine is on her way to pick them up and they should be there soon. When they finally arrive, Maddie still hasn't given birth, but the midwife has suggested that they stay close and stay at the birthing center because it could be any time. And with that, Christine says that Christine actually offers to take Axel with her. So she can watch Axel and give, Maddie and Caleb the opportunity to like focus on what they were doing. And then Janelle is super tired. And so she just wants to go home, go to sleep, or go wherever she's staying and go to sleep. So Kody says, normally if I were coming to be with Janelle, I would stay with Janelle tonight. But instead I'll just stay with Christine because Christine is going to be with Axel. And that way I can help Christine with Axel. And Janelle's like, yeah, I don't even want Kody around. I don't want him in my bed. I just want to sleep. I don't want to share the covers with someone. I don't want to share the bed with anyone. It's all a big mess. So ultimately, they start talking about how, with all of the things that are going on, you've got Meri with the house stuff going on. You've got Robin dealing with the issues of having to close on a new home. And then you've got Maddie when it comes to delivering a baby. And Kody said that like he has to always figure out like if they all have someone that they all have needs, they all seem to need something at the exact same time. But he agreed that at this point in time, the wife that needed him the most was Janelle because his daughter was going to be delivering a baby. I wouldn't even think it's like about the wives at that point. You would just want to be there for your daughter, right? You just want to be there for your daughter. You want to be there for the birth of your grandchild. They only have one grandchild at this point in time. So the episode ends. There's no baby, nothing. They don't end up moving into the house. They're, like they haven't closed on the new home. All we know is that Mary's house is safe. Maddie's in labor. Robin needs to close on the house, and Christine is taking care of Axel with Kody. It was a kind of one of those episodes where I was like, did anything really happen in this episode? I will say that Robin and Kody were pretty adamant about how, during the episode, about the struggle that they've been dealing with this house and how it really has taken a toll on their marriage, and that they've been battling the same issue for months and months and months and months. And with that, it's all made things very difficult for them. And we start to see some of the cracks that are between Meri and Kody as well. Now, for next week's episode, the teaser was that they are going to be at a therapist's office, and Meri and Kody are supposed to be talking about their marriage. And Meri in the preview clip basically says that our relationship has completely ended. It's done. It's over. He's out. And I think that's like the first time we've actually heard her say that. And then you hear Kody like, I'm just so tired of her playing the victim. Of course, because it's never actually Kody's fault. It's not that he doesn't have 4 wives, or that, because of that, it creates all of this consternation and issues with the family. But I digress. You also hear him saying that like he rushed into his marriage with Meri, with almost this implication that they maybe should have never gotten married to begin with. And in all honesty, when you see these two, like, they don't really have the best relationship. They don't seem to have the same interests. They don't seem to even really like each other. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's true. Who knows? But we'll never know, because he also brought in 2 other wives and then a 4th wife, decades later. So there's going to be at least 2 new episodes coming. I don't know, like the next one is going to be with them and Meri. I don't know when the baby's actually going to be born. Maybe next episode. That wasn't in the teaser clip. We have no idea. And it will be interesting to see whether or not we see anything about the issues that her baby was born with. Maddie's daughter has a condition with her limbs, and I'm not sure if it hasn't been discussed yet, and I don't know if it'll be discussed after the birth or not, or if it'll even be brought up. But Maddie has discussed that openly on social media. All right, you guys. So I want to know what your thoughts are. Did you like this episode? Do you think this is like ridiculous? Are you over it? I'm kind of getting over it. I'm like ready for the season to be done. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm also ready for like them to actually get to something besides moving. But I guess if that's what's going on with their lives, that's what's going to be filmed. It was nice to see the ladies rallying around and helping Meri, which is good. It was nice to see Kody actually showing up for Meri. But it's sad, in my estimation, that Meri says that the only time he does show up is when she needs something or when there's an emergency. All right, you guys, leave me some comments below. I'll be back later with a little bit more in a while. Bye.